their servers for a remote access once this lockdown started. So what it means, work from home, work from anywhere, you have access to your system based on your permissions. You create the data, you create jobs, you assign it, and the technician goes completes it. So these are all basic things where the usage has increased and the dependency has increased. So
definitely there is a kind. Sorry, please do continue.
I'll add in. So this is one of the awareness which has been created. And the other thing is home maintenance apps for the untapped market, which is for the consumer market. Even this inquiry for the e-commerce platform, in last couple of months has raised, and we have also received few inquiries to implement e-commerce platform for service industry. Thank you.
Right. Of course. Now, the next question I want to pose to both of you, starting with you, Mr. Sak. How exactly has this kind of filled the gap in the service delivery? How has technology filled this gap?
Yeah. So basically, it's provide end-to-end connectivity. So the entire process, all stakeholders should have connectivity to the application, and you'll have to create a connected FM workforce, and also use microservices effectively. When I say microservices, it is integration between multiple systems. So you have a ERP, you have a CRM, you have a SCM, supply chain management. So what data can be interfaced to the CAFM so that CAFM can utilize that data very effectively. One of the key data is from the BMS alarms, which we will be reviewing during this webinar. And also, I have a few slides to show you. One is on the connected workforce.
Yes.
So the connected workforce is nothing but we have identified each stakeholders. One is your back office team where they work on the master data, creating contracts, creating asset informations, creating the SLAs. So that is one specific activity, and also they have a help desk which can be centralized or decentralized. So there is an access for the management. So they have an access to the KPIs and dashboards on the move through smartphones. Then we have a product for client access and service provider access. For example, if the software is owned by a property owner, then the service provider has an access to do his jobs. Then there are facility auditors who can, create audit schedules and perform audits using mobile applications. Then there is product for the technicians where the field services can be automated. Self-service help desk, feedback management, QR code based, time and attendance. So then we have visitor management, supplier portal, so BMS interface. So basically, this connects everyone in a single platform, and based on their access permissions, they get access to their specific data. The next slide is about the specific home maintenance apps. This is additional revenue generator for the maintenance contractors, where they can deploy this product where the end user, the marketplace, a common person can download the application, register, and request for services. Let it be cleaning, let it be disinfection, let it be anything AC related. So we have developed this backbone of e-commerce product specifically for service industry. So this also connects the entire workforce as well as the market. The next slide is about the integration capabilities. So this is very important. So any system, if it is a standalone, there is more disadvantage on it. When it is integrated, if the system has the capability to integrate with multiple systems, we can get that data, analyze it, and process it. So these are the gaps which needs to be filled. There you have to connect end to end using the platforms. you can still further, extend to the marketplace for which is going to be a revenue generator, and the integration capabilities with IoT devices, with BMS, with BIM, with CAD, with other ERP solutions, mobility, and GIS. So these are the ways to fill the gap, madam.
Great. Mr. Vinod, I want to bring you into the conversation now. And of course, we know Siemens has always been quite ahead of its time when it comes to working with smart connected buildings. Now, can you shed some light on why you feel this will now change the way we manage buildings?
Yeah, yes, Megha. Thanks for asking this question. Can you just move to the slide? So we in
Yes,
Siemens we
sure.
believe it's not only the technology that's going to help. So we have. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, in Siemens we believe like it's going to be like three different pillars that's going to drive the whole service industry. It is not only technology, so we believe the right people who gets the right data coming from the site, and we need to have the right technology. So we have the technology in place, and also the best service that needs to be delivered to create a perfect solution for the customer. So that's what we believe. Like it's going to be like a complete service model. So that's why we offer software as a service to the customer. It's not only the technology or the tool which we give to the customer. We collect the right data from the site. We have the right people in place where we have data scientists, performance engineer, and we have service engineer who's looking into the data. That's the right people who's looking into the data. With the technology, that's a software which we use, and we deliver that as a service model to the customer. So that creates a perfect solution. So we believe these three pillars forms the perfect solution for the service industry.
You want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, and also like as I mentioned, like we need to have the right data in place. So what we do for collecting the data is we try to collect the data from the BMS system. So we have all the equipments that is connected to the BMS. So primarily, like we have, it could be a meter information or it could be a field devices, sensors which is at the site, and it's all connected to the BMS system. So what we basically do is we collect this data to the cloud, and on the cloud we have the technology that is Siemens Navigator. We use it as, and the Siemens Navigator, what it does is it collects this data, and we have a fault detection diagnostics algorithm which is running on the Navigator, which primarily tries to identify the fault which is happening at the site. So it is more like 24/7 monitoring of your system. So we don't need to have a technician who is who needs to continuously monitor the equipment. Rather, the technology or the device which is going to continuously monitor the site for any fault that is going to occur at the site. So it is not only fault identification, but it also has a diagnostics capability where it also identifies where exactly the problem is. So the technician goes prepared, and he can fix the problem because he has a diagnostics result as well. So what we are doing is in the cloud, we are integrating it with a smart FM tool as well. So we have an integrated FM platform as well. So the fault detection is linked to the integrated platform, CAFM platform. So it goes as a work order back to the technician. So everything is managed on the cloud. So the customer is going to have only a user ID and password where he can manage the fault detection rules on one hand, who is a technical expert or an energy expert who can really look into the data and see like what kind of optimization measures he needs to take at the site. He can log into the navigator and do it. On the other hand, if he wants to manage asset related information, for example, if he wants to manage the material delivery, or like if he wants to manage like a work order related information, he can use our integrated FM platform for accessing those information. So it's everything is managed on the cloud. And again, it's not necessarily that it needs to be a Siemens system where we need to collect the data. Rather, it can be any BMS system or any controller available at the site. We'll be able to utilize the data and make it like a centralized platform. Assume like we have FM companies where they are managing like 50, 100 sites, and maybe rather having an individual FM, rather they can have a kind of a centralized platform where they have both the fault detection diagnostics and also an integrated platform sitting on the cloud. So they don't want to have a supervisor sitting on individual building. Rather, they can sit in their office, and they can log into the integrated platform, and they can see like what fault they are getting from the different sites. So they don't want to have a technician roaming around to go and find a fault. And we are moving from a periodic maintenance to a kind of a predictive maintenance, where the system finds out the fault from the data we are collecting. And even before a fault occurs, it predicts the fault and it notifies the technician that we are expecting a fault on the system based on the data we are collecting on so and so date, so he can go prepared with the right tool, and he can fix those issues. So that's how we are placing our technology.
Okay.
Can we move to the next slide? So I just want to have like a small example for this on a fault detection and diagnostics perspective. Maybe it's a little bit technical, but I just want to shed a small light on it. We have an air handling unit system that is running on a building, which is serving cold air to the building. In this typical example, we could see the green line that is shown on the graph, which is actually the space temperature set point, and the magenta line, what we could see is actually the space temperature. So there is a gap between the temperature and the set point. So it means like the temperature is overcooling, the equipment is overcooling the space. So there is some kind of problem that is happening in the space. So in a normal case, what we do is we get a reactive call from the building tenant saying there is a overcooling in my space. Then we send out the technician to go and investigate what the problem is. Then the technician comes back, takes his tool, and goes and fix the issues. Rather, the fault detection and diagnostics, what it is going to do is it's going to look for the fault. So the temperature overcooling the space is the fault, and it goes and finds out from the sensor are available or from the connected devices, finds out where exactly the problem is, and notifies the technician this is where the problem is. So in this case, the problem is because the operator had kept a VFD temperatures, the temperature set point very low, and the VFD speed as a very low, very low. So this was the problem. It just notifies the technician, okay, this is where the problem is, so he can go prepared and he can rectify the issues accordingly. So that's how the fault detection diagnostics is going to help them.
Okay. There is one question that someone has asked that she is a novice in this field, and would you have any kind of a basic reading that she can refer to? So, I mean, is it something that is quite user friendly that they can manage it without having kind of a very in-depth technical knowledge on it, or is it necessary to have a skilled person behind this?
Yeah, so that's why, as I said earlier, Megha, actually this tool, it's not given as a tool to the customer, but it is actually offered as a software as a service to the customer. So we don't expect the customer to be a technical expert in using the tool. Rather, we manage the tool, we put the rules, and the customer will just get a notification out of the tool. So all the rules, what I'm talking about, the fault detection, data analyst, data scientist, so we have the right people, and we have the tool. We program everything for the customer, and they just get the notification, and they need to fix the issues, and we can look into the data, and we can find out whether the issue is resolved or not. So that's how it's managed.
I hope, Maya, that answers your question. So do continue, Mr. Manoj.
Yeah. And as I mentioned about an integrated FM architecture, so both the system is going to be on the cloud. So it's two platforms where we have integrated FM as a platform, and the other hand we have a navigator as a platform. So navigator, it's going to be like a bit technical tool, and even the customer can have an access to the tool. And through navigator, what we can do is we can, like, for example, if I have 10 buildings, and if I want to know which building is performing best in terms of energy efficiency, I can use the tool to visualize how my energy is performing in different buildings. We can do an energy comparison. We can do measurement and verification. Measurement and verification, then I say, for example, if I take any steps in the facility to optimize energy savings, how do I visualize that savings? So we can use Navigator to see what savings they are getting. It could be as per the ASTRAE standards. It could be as per IPMP standards. So we can define and configure the dashboards for the customer. So the configuration of the dashboard, everything will be done from our end, and whereas the customer can see only the numbers or the results that's coming out of it. They can see the dirham savings directly or the KWS savings, whatever they want to visualize. So Navigator is going to be like a technical tool where it has the fault detection diagnostics algorithm as well. On the other hand, as I mentioned, navigator fault is linked with the CAFM tool. It's going to be like an integrated FM platform, where in the integrated FM platform we can do like what normal FM tool can do. So there we can have a report related to any work order management reports. It could be like a response time, what is the resolution time for an issue, how much time a technician is taking to respond for a particular issue. So those kind of reports, which is very helpful for a supervisor perspective, so that can be accessed from the integrated FM tool, and he can get the output. And also we can create a customized dashboard for the management if the management just want to see a very specific information, and they don't want to go into a technical, neither into CAFM system, and they don't want to see any kind of information. We also use Tableau as a visualization tool, where we take the right data and write data what needs to be seen by the management. We put those information into Tableau, and we put it there as a visualization platform for them. So management can have a different access to the Tableau dashboard. They can go and see whatever relevant information they want to see. It will be designed as 1 or 2 pages dashboard where they can get their specific information. And also on the technician side, he can get only a mobile device. It could be an Android, it could be an Apple phone, to which the fault is pushed to him. So he'll have an application where he can receive this fault, and he can open or close the fault, where he can follow his process of going to the site, looking into the fault. He can close the work order, he can put his command, he can order the material which can be linked to the SAP and stuff. So that is a technician level access. And also, if for the end user perspective, if they want to have kind of a billing management, for example, if you have multiple billing meters connected to the tenants, and even those meters can be integrated to the navigator, and they can have a billing application, and where they can see like what is their consumption, how their consumption is varying over the period. They can compare with the previous year and see like how their consumption is. So that's why I mentioned in a different perspective, different verticals, and different people has different tool access there, and they can visualize different set of information from the platform what we have.
Right.
And like how it's going to benefit, I had put this slide specifically to say like how it's going to benefit the end user or the facility management companies. So like generally, as I mentioned, as we make software as a service, so we try to make a report at the end of every quarter, and in the quarterly report we mention like what is the savings they're going to get out of it. And the savings is like proactively identifying the fault. For example, in a general periodic maintenance, we do the maintenance in the first quarter, let's say January, and we wait for April for the second maintenance cycle. So between January to April, there is a chance that the equipment can go fail. So unless until we get a reactive calls, we doesn't know the equipment got failed, and we may end up losing energy because of it. Energy is directly related to your money, right? So the fault detection system, it's going to continuously monitor. The technology is going to continuously monitor and notify you whenever there is a problem. Even in the second month, if there is a problem, you'll be notified of the problem, and that is directly translated into energy savings. And the energy savings is what we are getting monetized in our report, and we show you that you get XYZ energy savings by proactively identifying the fault. And the second case, it's also going to save the maintenance savings as well. When I say maintenance savings, like for example, I have like a building with 1,000 fan coil units, and it's very difficult to do 1,000 fan coil units in every periodic maintenance schedule. So usually it is split into batches, and they revisit in once in a year to the same set of equipment. Maybe in the particular lives, in the particular span, the equipment might have got failed. So they though they do periodic maintenance, they cannot like fulfill the entire objective of maintaining the equipment healthy. So here we can, as it is monitoring continuously, no need to do a periodic maintenance. Instead, it will be like a performance based maintenance. Whenever there is a performance issue on an equipment, it will be notified. You can go and do a maintenance on that equipment. So thereby you'll have a savings on the maintenance as well. So that cost is also transferred here as a maintenance savings cost. And also we'll have a savings on man hours as well. Because of the pandemic, there is always a challenge of cutting down our cost or cutting down our labors. So now this is going to have a savings in man hours as well, because you don't want to have a technician going around looking for an issue, coming back and getting the tool, necessary tool for fixing the issue. Rather, as he's notified with the right amount of information, the whole process can be optimized. So that will help him in saving man hours as well. So this has three different aspects, and this aspect is what we translate in our report. So based on our previous experience, though this is offered as a software as a service, we see like 6 to 8 months is the payback period of the services, as the return on investment for the services which we are offering.
Oh, that's interesting. We've got quite an interesting question that's come out from Mr. Hitesh. So I'll propose it to both of you. You can decide who would want to take this. He says that, can you please give your perception on automation of data analysis? And does AI predict the maintenance or hands-on data analysis has to be done?
Okay, so I'll take this question, Megha. So actually, so the data analytics, as I said, it's actually like deep learning or machine learning. So it is not gonna be like an automated process initially. We should have a right amount of data, and it takes a lot of time for the machine to learn or come to a point where it can do an automatic data analytics or automatic machine learning analytics. So what we start with is a simple data analytics, and we collect the data over a period, and we feed the data to the machine, and the machine will start doing the deep learning or machine learning, and then it starts predicting the maintenance results. So it will not start from day one. Maybe it's a misconception in the market that predictive maintenance can start from day one. To me, every equipment and every building is different, and a machine has to learn its behavior over a period. So we should have minimum 2 years of data that should go into the machine for it to learn, and we need to develop an algorithm for it, and that helps in predicting the maintenance in the future.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Vinod. And Mr. Hitesh, I hope that answers your question. So for all those who have just joined us, just to give you a quick recap, we have so far spoken about the kind of impact technology has had on the service industry and how technology can fill this gap in the service delivery, especially. And also we've spoken about how we manage buildings now, especially with the use of technology and connected buildings. And we've also shed light on fault diagnostics. So now, Mr. Isak, I would want to ask you the next question on what are some of the key advantages, in combating the pandemic, especially using CAFM Solution?
Yeah. Pandemic, it's a new normal for us now. We have got adapted to this, and we are finding out ways to provide innovative and tailor-made solution. So when it comes to CAFM Solution, specifically, Smart FM developed by Nanosoft, is designed to accommodate all roles in FM industry, and it can be easily on board, and they can use a single platform. So let me list down, the key advantages. One is, you connect the FM team in a single platform, and you have remote access to the application. So it means your servers, if it's on-premise servers, it is published for the public, where it can be accessed remotely. And also, there is a increase in customers asking for cloud technology as software as a subscription, and remote monitoring, online task approval. So as we all work remotely, online task approvals for a quick turnaround, and also specifically for the COVID, all the solutions can be offered as a toolkit. So new services related to COVID-19 with well-defined activity list, which will keep the premises safe and sound, and it's monitored. And there are self-service attendance apps for your workforce, where it's an alternate to biometric solution. So wherever they can enter their attendance. And visitor management is one of the key product which comes into that tool. It can be used in residential as well as commercial buildings. So it is just to track the moment. Okay, now when somebody is moving into a residential building or a commercial building, you will have the data of who's moving in it. It can be, again, if it's integrated with the access control systems, again the movement can be properly restricted. And as I told you, the apps which we developed for the tenants and occupiers, we are adding more functions to it, where there are very less interactions, movement between the service providers, the end users. So the more data analytics is given to the each and every stakeholders, the decision is taken before doing any task. As Mr. Vinod Kannan properly elaborated the. So that is one of the key area where the technician needs to go. Otherwise, you can see technicians moving around to find a fault. Now, if a fault can be taken from a Siemens system or any other system and integrated with the FMES, technician gets information beforehand. So these are all key advantages of using a CAFM in this pandemic. The idea is the movement has to be reduced, and the communication needs to be strengthened between each stakeholder. Let it be the back office to the field staff to the tenants to the space occupiers. So once this communication is strengthened and the movement is reduced, using providing them the data before they get to know it, it's basically being fight against this COVID. It actually shares its part. The CAFM does its part in fighting this situation for now. Yeah,
that's right. Let me just go next slide. So what exactly, now there are so many other solutions that are coming up in the market. So why is CAFM still such a strong contender right now?
See, CAFM is a strong contender because it creates the base data for the operations. All other data are complementary data, which enhances the process. Okay, but CAFM will remain the base solution over other solutions because it has the capability to connect. It has the capability to extend, the technology as per the rules. So if you log in as a management team, you log in as a back office user, you log in as a master data user, you log in as a coordinator, you log in as a technician, you log in as a occupier, your screens are different. Only you'll get to know what you have to do. So this will remain the base solution over other solutions. For example, you have BMS, IoT, BIM, supply chain. All these are very specific to a domain and provides critical data to the respective stakeholders. However, if it is integrated with CAFM, the data can be used for further processing and analysis. As again, I have to refer to Mr. Vinod, where he had briefed how effectively a fault detection alarm can be captured and processed. And when it is captured, for example, when a fault is captured, yes, the technician knows a fault is captured, he has to go and do it. What CAFM can do? CAFM can provide them the documentations from the central document manager. It can give the standard operating procedures. It can give the manuals. It can give the activities, what he has to do when such fault occurs. So it's actually complementing the each system. So CAFM will remain a strong contender for now. So I'm happy on this response.
Great. We do have a question that has come up, Mr. Ayman. So he says that are there well coordinated and standardized communication systems and protocols to ensure clear and transparent communication with all the stakeholders? Is there something?
Yeah. So see, that's very important, where there is a clear data to each stakeholders what they have to do. So that's how the product is also designed. So as I told before, each stakeholder will have a username and password. When they log in, they get specific data to what they have to do. Let it be a supervisor, let it be a management role, let it be a back office, a technician. For example, I'll tell how technician works. So when a technician logs in, he'll get his related jobs. Work orders for today, work orders for the upcoming, 1 week or 2 weeks. If any complaints are raised, they will get a notification. And if it is integrated with BMS systems, they will get notified with the alarms, critical alarms. So it is well defined and processes between the stakeholders, and they get to know what they have to know. And additional information is given to make their work much easier to do.
I hope that answers your question, Mr. Ayman. So going to the next question, Mr. Isaac, I want to know what exactly are the gaps in the technology itself?
Yeah. So see, the main gap is user participation. And we can list it, user participation, effective use of microservices, which is used for the integration, e-commerce for service industry, effective business intelligence and analytic tools, end-to-end connectivity. I have a small slide here for the gaps, which briefs the user participation.
Is this the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, see, you buy a product, and if it's not used, then there is no point of buying a product. Very simple. So, user participation is very important. So, we put it as a standalone system and interface environment. If you take standalone system, the user who are actually using the system are only 33%. And other people will be depending for the data on the BMS, on the CAD, on the ERP, and the BIM. So actually, the FM team who may do a work order, who may process some jobs, they have to go into the another system to check for some informations. So the reason for less participation is standalone systems. It's not interfaced. Key updates and processes out of the system. So you do the entire job in the CAFM system, and approval will be done in third-party, finance system, ERP system, or you do it in a manually. So key updates process are out of the system. So this is one of the reason. And on-premise service. So when you go for on-prem service, on-premise implementation deployments, there are limitations. So you'll have to have a proper IT infrastructure. So there is some limitations and system capabilities, and also there is a price tag. So standalone system is actually you cannot increase the user participation. When I mean user participation, how many users are logging into the system and effectively using the system. Okay, when it comes to interfaced environment, so basically it gets interfaced. So most of the data is available in one system. So they can have the information of BMS, they can have the information of CAD drawings, they can have the information of ERP. When I say ERP, the procurement and inventory, if it is managed there, you can still see the status of the procurement and inventory in the CAFM system. So we did a project where we interfaced with the SAP. The technician in the mobile application, he can see the stock which is available in the SAP system. So if we had not developed it, so the technician has to depend on the stores keeper has to depend on the SAP system. So we have made an interface where the technician from the field, he can see the stock. So it increases the participation. Quality data. So quality data is very important for any software. So when you import data from multiple systems, there are chances that it is reworked or some mistakes have done. But if you directly pick the data using the interface from other third-party systems, you get a quality data. So when there is a quality data, the entire process, the confidence increases when you use a quality data. Then you have key updates and process within the system. Cloud options are there. Then end-to-end connectivity is established. and mobile offline capabilities. This is also one of the key aspects for FM, where the mobile used by the technician should have the capability to work on offline. Otherwise, if there is no internet available in that particular spot, maybe in the basement or in a remote area, again, they will be doing it on the piece of paper, and when they come back, the data entry will happen. If the mobile application has the offline capabilities, yes, it can be
Right.
still work done and they can come and synchronize with the service. So interface environment is what is very important. As a CAFM solution provider, we cannot offer everything. So we'll have to depend for data from the third party system like Siemens or other providers. So it gives the user participation increases. If the user participation increases, there is a success.
Great. So, Mr. Vinod, I want to rope you into the conversation now and ask you, what exactly are the kind of challenges that one faces while filling in this particular gap that Mr. Isaac had pointed out?
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Yeah. So, what exactly are the challenges involved when you're facing while filling in this gap that Mr. Isaac had pointed out?
Yeah, the challenges actually it should have a right tool and the right people who needs to be in place while we try to fill in the gap. So that's what I feel it should be in there.
Sure. We also have a question from Mr. Hitesh as well. So let me just ask that also. So he asked that how viable is the system integrated is for small, medium scale projects? And can you please share the findings in terms of statistics like abating time, cost, and manpower? Any of you would want to take that question in?
Yeah. So I'll respond to this. The question here is whether the system integration for small projects are viable or not.
Yeah.
In today's technology, we can use web services. That's why I mentioned as microservices. The more we use the microservices, it is API based. So API based, there is no hard interface where two system consultants are sitting discussing what needs to be interfaced and sharing the data fields. It's not required to do. You can still have what data needs to be interfaced between the systems. You can create an API, and that API will work with both the systems, pull and push the data between the systems. So that is the very secured way. And if you ask whether it is viable medium scale project, yes, every activity has a price tag. So when an interface is done, when we use web services, the efforts are less, and it's very secure also. So as the technology evolves, the prices also drop down. So I feel yes, it's viable. That's how I could also understand from the briefing of Mr. Vinod, where the entire BMS system is taken into cloud and interface with the FM software. So I hope I have responded to the question.
Yes, I hope, Mr. Hitesh, that answers your question. And definitely, we will be sharing the entire recording with everyone who has attended and registered for the event also. We do have just about 15-20 minutes left with our discussion. So do pose in your questions, before we run out of time. And I'd like to take in as many questions as possible. So moving on, Mr. Isaac, I want to ask you the next question, which is, how do you define a software investment maturity model?
Yeah, so there is a slide after this. Can you open that slide?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so software investment maturity model. This is a very important, topic where if you do an investment for a CAFM or any solution, there are 5 components. So one is connectivity, then functionality, capability, information availability, and usage. So when we talk about connectivity, so you'll have to provide required infrastructure and connectivity as required by the software needs. So that connectivity can be your on-premise deployment servers or on cloud. So once the server is deployed, you should have a sufficient bandwidth, upload data so that people from remote can access the system. So connectivity is very important. Then functionality. So the functionality in software should meet the business requirements and support operations without any hassle and has more capability for to meet future expansion. This is very important. So each company have their own, business logics, business processes. Even when we say CAFM as a, standard generic name, when it is implemented to a specific company, we have to ensure that the functionality of the software meets their specific business requirements and also has the capability to meet the future expansion. So either one, if it's not meeting the future expansion, then after usage of a year or 2 years, you'll have to depend on other applications. So you'll have to check each and every functionality whether it is meeting with your business process. Then capability. So the capability is about the team. The team are very well trained with capable people on board and continuous monitoring and nurturing. So you have the connectivity. Now you have decided a product and the functionality of the product meets your requirement and it has the interface capability, all those things. Now the capability of the team. So the team who are going to use this software should be very well trained and they should be capable and they should be, continuously monitored and nurturing. For example, if you, in our Smart FM product, we have a IT audit for CAFM coordinators. So the CAFM coordinator can log in and see the usage level of each users and how much time they spend in the application and what jobs they have done. So it gives a clear idea. So what happens if you don't monitor? If there is a problem in the application, then there will be a second channel. They will be using the Excel sheets, and the CAFM solution will be used for the data entry. So to avoid that, you'll have to have a continuous monitoring, and the software should have the tool to monitor that. And the fourth component is information availability. So you have the connectivity, functionality, capability, and information availability. What is that? The software should have the reporting capabilities, accuracy of data, data quality. It should have BI dashboards, reports, and it should give it decision-making outputs. So after that, the last one is usage. So you have all the four components: connectivity, functionality, capability, information availability, and then you don't use it, please don't buy that product. So the idea here is you have to give all these five components and ensure that the product is used. Then you get the investment back, and the dependency on the software is high. So this is the model which we suggest to all our customers on each and every during the sales call, basically. So it's a very important information to all. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Vinod, I think there is a question that's been posed to you from Mr. Hitesh. He says that as proceeding further, Siemens have recognized the emerging requirement of robotics. And how would you think that Siemens Navigator will lie a foundation and connectivity in robotics sector? Would you want to answer that?
Yes, Megha. Siemens Navigator is for building sector. We are actually transforming we are entering into the phase of digitalization now, and the digitalization we are doing it in every sectors. And the Siemens Navigator is primarily focused on transforming the building or digitalizing the building sectors. So it's primarily like when I say digitalization is like making the equipment available, collecting the data to the cloud, and increasing the uptime of the equipment, do the life cycle assessment of an equipment. So those kind of insights to help customer to increase the lifespan of the equipment on the building side. So that's what Navigator is all about.
Great. Mr. Hitesh, I hope that answers your question. So we're almost coming to an end. So do post in your questions before we run out of time. So lastly, I want to ask this question to both of you, starting with Mr. Isaac. So what exactly is the way forward? What are the key evolutions in CAFM that we have seen so far?
The key evolutions, which is so far as well as the way forward. So what I would, from my view, is integrated solutions. This is going to actually enhance the user participation. So always my focus was on increasing the usage of the software. Then only the real outcome will come. So integrated solutions will enhance the usage and increase the participation, and the service provider access and the client access through portals will give more transparency and control over the processes. And data analytic tools and enhancement in reporting tools will bring in more efficiency and productivity. Here, I want to mention one product which we launched a couple of months before, which is a Smart FM bot, a chat bot. So when we were just discussing with our team, we said, okay, why should our the management people should log into a system? Not only management, even let it be a technician. Why should they log into a system? Can we do something where without logging into the system, they can request for information and the system provides that information. So we worked on a Smart FM bot, which is chat bot, and it has been trained to respond to few questions. You can ask how many complaints have been raised last month. So it will just summarize.
Okay.
Summarize the P1 tickets, and also you can locate. Where is Mr. Francis or where is Mr. Isha? So it will say, based on the time and attendance data, it will say, okay, he's available today, he's present today, and he's sitting in his office. So we have made it more, user friendly, where the Smart FM bot, without logging in, the Smart FM bot can give the information. It will go through the data tables and give you the right information. Also, it gives it just doesn't respond to your question. It can also provide you charts. It can provide you information in tables. So it is available for all our existing clients. And also we are coming up with WhatsApp interface. So WhatsApp business, WhatsApp can be interfaced with the FM system, and you can just have the information of your CAFM processes on your fingertips. To achieve this, again, the usage should increase, the system should be interfaced. Then only there will be benefits on having this advanced solutions. And there should be increase in mobile-based solutions, which already we are working on, where even the back office, they need not to go into a web browser, they can still use a mobile application to do their activities. And microservices, use microservices as much as possible to to get data from different systems. This is my view on the way forward for CAFM.
And Mr. Vinod, would you want to take that question as well?
Yes, ma'am. So what we believe in Siemens is digitalization will be the way forward in terms of evolution of FM actually. So why I say that digitalization is going to be like a key parameter in evolution of FM is like we are moving from standard maintenance, which is like a reactive maintenance or a corrective maintenance. We are moving from there. We are moving from that era to a condition-based maintenance, further down to predictive and prescriptive maintenance. So it's going to get evolved to that era to identify a fault before it occurs. So it's primarily like we need to transfer the data what we have into a digitalization format, and that is how the CAFM has to evolve in the future. And that's what the way forward is.
So we also have a question from Mr. Ayman, who says that what are the possible factors that are likely to impede the growth of CAFM in the market? Would any of you want to take that question?
What are the possible factors that are likely to Impede.
Yes.
The growth, yeah. See, from my point of view, the first thing is going to be the price, because in this during this pandemic time, few of the projects were kept on hold, even though there is awareness. The dependency is more in the CAFM. Okay, the project was on hold. But now, as the market has, the lockdown has released, there is a hope, and customers are coming back. So the price is going to play the important role, and also if it is not interfaced, yes, it's going to affect. So this is my view as of now.
Great. I hope that answers your question. So before we wrap things up, do you have any final thoughts? Do either of you want to add to any of the points that we have discussed so far?
Yeah, we have covered most of the points, and we hope the session was informative, and I'm done with this.
Mr. Vinod, do you have any closing thoughts that you would want to share?
No, as like I echo what Ishak said, I feel like the session was informative and really opened some insights and thought for the people who attended the conference.
Great. So thank you so much to both of you for coming out here, and all of you over here to attend this session. Definitely, it was very interesting, and an interesting way to look at CAFM Solutions and how it can help the assets in general. Now, I also want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you to join us today, and I hope it was quite engaging and interesting for you as well. And we also want to thank our key sponsors, Farnek, and our session sponsor, that is Nanosoft and Smart FM as well, for supporting our initiative. Now, we certainly hope this session was insightful for you. So do give us your opinion and your feedback on our social media pages. As I mentioned earlier, the recording will be available post the end of the session. And we look forward to hosting many such engaging discussions. So do spread the word and stay tuned to our social media pages for details on the next webinar. So thank you again. And until next time, this is Megha Anthony signing off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.